All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Two Guys and a Mic. I am one of your hosts, Ron Pierce, RP, better known as. Can you hear me?
No, you said RP, better known as, but you didn't.
Oh man, listen. Go ahead. This dude, I thought he was froze or something. Man, go on and introduce.
I'm sitting here trying to watch the end of this game and do this.
And do them. You can't do both.
Right. I definitely can't multitask. But I am your other host, Big Sean. I hope everyone is doing well on this cold Sunday evening.
I hope everybody's doing better than we are. At least remotely doing better than we are. It is cold here in Cleveland. It's what we like to call here in the Midwest blustery, which means it's windy. It's kind of giving you a little bit of precipitation. We don't know what the precipitation is. We don't know if it's hail. We don't know if it's sleet.
We had sleet, a little bit of snow, a little bit of everything.
Sure. However, if you go outside, you probably need to be dressed at least somewhat in a warmer fashion. But I just want to, welcome you guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, whoever you are, wherever you are. Welcome to what is usually called our Football Sunday edition. Today is actually going to be renamed our Missed Opportunity Sunday.
Pretty much, man. Opportunity after missed opportunity after missed opportunity today. And our beloved Cleveland Browns went down to the Las Vegas Raiders 16-6 in a very, I won't call it a weird game. It's just something, I don't know. It's just that we either came out flat or, and I hate that word flat because you really don't even know what that means. But, we just didn't come out with all cylinders clicking. And, we went down today.
Well, I think, honestly speaking, you're more correct than you are incorrect. Yeah, we hate that word flat. And I don't know that there really is an explanation for it. But honestly speaking, we came out flat. Like, we had nothing. Right. There was nothing. And I feel like there's a few reasons why there wasn't anything. And I'll get into them as we get a little bit more into the show. But the reasons that I think these things might have occurred or didn't occur, however you want to look at it, bother me. Like, I have an issue with them because I think it means more or says more about what might be happening or getting ready to come up as we get deeper into the season. So let's just jump into it, man. Like I say, I called it Missed Opportunity Sunday for a purpose and for a reason. The Browns today missed, I don't know that this was a golden ticket, but man, they missed an opportunity to take more advantage of their position and their situation right now. From their record to just beating a team that I wouldn't, the Raiders aren't awful, but they're a team that's just like them. So if you can't beat the really good teams like the Ravens and the Steelers, and you also have a hard time with teams that are just like you better hope that everybody you play sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's a bad feeling for me. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth with that being the potential case. So today's game on paper, it looked good. It looked good for us. I think even for Las Vegas, they felt pretty confident that they could win. I don't know that they thought that they would, but they probably were like, hey, we could probably go in here and sneak one out. And then the weather showed up. Nobody really anticipated the weather to be what it actually turned out to be.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little windy, maybe 15, 20 miles an hour. I didn't expect pretty much a typhoon to come blowing through today. I mean, what the gusts were what between 40 and 50 at times.
Yeah, and
It was
now,
really bad.
and you know as well as I know, if the gusts out at, because usually, for those of you guys who don't know, weather usually takes, they take their reports from the airport, which is a little further inland. If it's 40 to 50 degrees at either Burke, excuse me, not at Burke, but at Hopkins, it's even at Burke, it's probably like 60, 70 inside the building because that building is a wind tunnel. You know that, and I know that. It's been
Right.
days when it's barely been a breeze in that place or outside, and you'll get
Yeah,
inside
you
that
get in
building.
there. Yeah,
You
right.
got this
It
tunnel that's just
swirls
flowing
around the
around.
stadium. Right.
So you get this potential 30 to 40 mile per hour wind that's whipping through this stadium. It wasn't cold. It's been colder in Cleveland, but it was cold enough. And with the wind blowing off the lake with a little bit of precipitation, it was just kind of a messy game. So that changed up how things were going to go. I think uh, on Wednesday, some of the things that we were talking about for our keys to the game, those keys to the game, to be honest with you, would have changed up at least a little bit had we known that was what was going to happen in the game, weather-wise. But because we are the Browns, one of the things that we kept speaking about was our run game, that these guys needed to show up, et cetera, et cetera. And, and then the game started today, and it kind of went to crap. And I have something to say about that too. So let's just get into the missed opportunities that I wrote down. My guy Myles Garrett came into the game a little dinged up and got more dinged up in the game, but he missed another opportunity to open up the script club early in the game. He was right there.
Right there. It hit the ball, and
Hit the ball,
Derek Carr didn't even flinch.
and I mean that dude didn't like pump fake or nothing. He just kept his whole position the same way. It was like he whiffed at it almost, and so to me that's a miss because that's an opportunity to change the game. And then right after that, during the same play, Derek Carr throws basically a pick six to Ronnie Harrison, and he drops it.
Dropped it. Yep.
He drops it. In a game like this,
it was nobody between him and the end zone if he
in a game like this,
that pass,
where points are going to be at a premium because of the weather and other things that are happening, you cannot miss the opportunity to score. I don't care how it happens. So those two things really screwed up. Early it screwed us up early in the game. The missed strip sack and the drop pick six by Ronnie Harrison. Also, shortly after that, Harrison Bryant fumbled, which put the Raiders into field goal position, and they ended up getting 3 points out of that.
Yeah, we also had a nice drop going there too. It was a nice drive. That was a nice play.
Yeah.
He would have had I think he was close to getting the first down.
He was close. He
didn't protect the football.
Can't protect the football. So that was an issue as well. Landry, one of our more sure-handed people on the not just as a wide receiver, but one of the more sure players that we have, dropped a touchdown today. That hurt. That hurt like hell.
That really hurt.
Because that could have changed the complexion of everything too.
Yeah, and I wonder how much that rib is bothering him because he's dropping a lot of passes for him.
Yeah.
Because he dropped a couple. Was against Indianapolis. I think he had a drop or 2 last week.
He dropped 2 today, actually.
Yeah, he dropped 2 today. So
the touchdown and that other one. So
right.
that drop touchdown and those games where those points are premium or at a premium, you can't have
what? And even with that, when you were a team and you're trying to come up and try to, move into that elite category, those are plays that you have to make, because in the NFL, a lot of times the outcome of the game just comes down to a few plays here or
Mm-hmm.
there, made or not made,
Yeah.
turnovers here and there, time of possession, and then, clock management. All those like kind of play a factor into the game.
Yeah.
And you have to, the Browns at this point in time, we can't afford not to take advantage of those opportunities. Early on in the
Yeah.
year, that's what we were doing. We were taking it every time opportunity presented itself like that. We
Yeah.
took advantage of it. Score, especially like on a turnover, we go down and score. And but it is what it is. Like you said, man, it was just a game of missed opportunities. Um,
Unfortunately, I ain't even done.
huh?
I
Oh,
said,
you got some.
unfortunately, I ain't even done. That was, I mean, and the reason that I itemize it this way is because, again, it literally goes to what you just said. In in any game, you're going to need some of these things to go your way. But in a game like this today, and I'll tell you why I think that that's more important here in a second. But let me just run down the list.
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Njoku's drop on 3rd and 8, huge. Uh, they made Carr fumble on that scramble he had, and we didn't get the recovery. The referees did call that a fumble, and we didn't get the
Right.
recovery. We allowed the running back to get it, and they were like at the 2 at that moment. Parkey's missed field goal. All I can think of 4 drop passes off the top of my head. Taki missed a tackle. We don't call Taki's name at all. You had one opportunity to stop these dudes on the drive, and you missed the tackle. Harrison missed a tackle. I mean, we had a lot of missed tackles, a lot of just miscues that more disciplined teams and more equipped teams don't make. And I understand that we're not that team per se, but I'll say this: it's different to lose a game that you feel like you could have won because guys just didn't do what they should have done, versus the game plan was stupid and it took the guys out of there, just totally
Right.
out of so this was a different kind of feeling. I'm still disappointed, I'm still upset, but it is a different kind of feeling to think that the guys just have to, like, now it's on the players. It's on the coaches too, but it's on the players. You make a couple of those catches, or you make a couple of those tackles, or you recover that fumble, or you make that strip sack. Just one of those plays changes how the rest of the game goes, to be
Exactly.
honest.
Exactly. The Raiders didn't do anything fancy today.
Nothing.
Basically, what they did once they figured out that they couldn't really pass the ball, in this weather, they just bullied the Browns. Their offensive line bullied our defensive line. It's as simple as that. And Jacobs had a great game. He was determined that they were going to win that game. And I hate using this cliche too, but not the Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders just kind of wanted the game more. And
Yeah.
it just showed, and it also just exposed once again our lack of athleticism on defense. Like the Raiders have a pretty bad defense too, but you can tell they have better athletes on defense
Well,
than we do. Like at the linebacker position,
I
they
tell
can
you
get
what.
to spots faster
Yeah.
than our guys can. Like
Yeah.
Goodson and Mack and Taki, they don't react well at all. They're not getting up in the holes, plugging up the
You know
holes
what?
on defense or anything like that.
I think some of that is because they're the same type of player. Like,
Right.
you get active guys because you do need active people. You need people who rush to the ball. You need guys that, as soon as they see, one thing happen and they just react. You need a guy like that. The thing that makes those guys work better or work well are having other guys that can be disciplined. So while that dude running that way, I'm still locked in the backfield watching, the running back go back this way. You know what I mean? Like, or I'm
Right.
watching the quarterback he pulled the ball. So, but I'm on the quarterback. I got a bead on him. So it didn't matter that Mac was all the way out of the play or Taki just rushed up the field. But my thing has always been, what good is it for you to be fast as hell, rushing up the field in the hole, but you can't tackle?
Exactly.
Like, so what difference does all of that make? You got your ass in the hole to get ran over or to tackle high or to try, or you get them guys that try to hit stick people. And
Right.
you don't get the wood on them like you thought.
Yeah.
So
Like the go ahead.
no, I just saw some stuff that really, really frustrated me today. I'm gonna tell you something else. I thought for at least the second time this year, Stefanski got outmaneuvered, not outcoached, outmaneuvered. I think Gruden, like you said a little bit ago, he understood. All right, we ain't gonna be able to do what we thought. We're just gonna have to turn this into something that we never really anticipated. But I think we could pull it off. Stefanski was still trying to run his plays.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was no adjustment to it. And not that they were throwing downfield deep and all that stuff. I think they kind of maybe wiped some of those plays off of their boards, but they were still running the same. It looked like a regular Browns game. It didn't look like the game that you should be playing for
Yeah,
this.
like it seems like we should have brought more guys in the box on defense. Because
Number one,
that's all they were going to do. I I know because of the personnel that we have, they're scared of getting beat, over the top and things like that. But at that point in time, man, they were killing us on the ground. They were getting 5-6 yards a chunk like every play
listen,
and
the
eating up clock at that.
with the wind blowing around the way that the wind was blowing around, did you see first, and we all saw it, I'm sure you saw it, when the Raiders went for that deep throw. First of all, that dude was 15 yards away from anybody in a brown jersey, and Carr couldn't locate that dude because of the wind.
Right.
Mostly,
He
he
overthrew it
couldn't
like
locate
about
that
15
dude to
yards.
save his life. So who cares that they might have beaten us downfield? That dude still has to make the throw. What you don't want to do, because to your point, they went 2 for 2 on fourth downs. One of those fourth downs, the third down was 3rd and 18. You gave up 17 yards on a run on 3rd down because guys can't make tackles, because guys not in
Man,
the right gaps.
you know
Bad
what?
angle.
Besides the drop passes, that play pissed me off the most because I sat there and watched Sendejo.
Man,
He had a bead on a running back on that draw play. For some reason, he runs to the outside, I guess anticipating that the running back was going to go
he was going
outside
out in the
around the
flat or
block,
something like that. Yeah.
right, and then try to come back inside and miss the tackle.
And
If he
that
just
gave
would have
him
went straight at if he just would have went straight at him, he would at least slowed him down. He may not have made the play right there, but he would
but he
have gave
could have
time
at
for the
least stopped
defense
him
to
maybe at
come.
about the four and a
Right.
half,
He would have gave
5 yard
time for
mark.
other defenders to come up and make the play. And that was a very, very, very key play in the game. And kind of at that point, I'm like, man, we just don't have it because we can't stop anybody defensively today. And I wasn't counting on them to make a big stop at any time to get the ball back with enough time where we could actually, do something with it.
Well,
So
go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
no. But it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just one of those games where the Browns just could not get offensively or defensively. They just couldn't get into any type of rhythm. I saw a couple of people taking shots at Baker today, and to me, I thought for what was going on, he played fairly well.
Yeah,
He put the ball where it had to be,
yeah.
and guys and the receivers just weren't making the plays today. So I don't put his stats look horrible, but I don't put that on him at all. I
This
think he did what he was supposed to do.
Listen, this game,
The
was a
receivers
weird
didn't get
ass
it
game.
done.
The game itself was a weird game due to the weather and all that. Um, and some people would say we've been hard on Baker. I think we've been fair. So existing in that atmosphere of fairness, I didn't think that Baker did anything to lose the game. He didn't do anything to win the game, but I don't think he did anything to lose it either. And actually, we could have won the game or been in the game a little bit more. So our fourth quarter drives would have been a little bit different had guys caught the ball. Yeah, he had some balls that were, floaty too, but it was windy. It wasn't, he's not super accurate to begin with, not recently anymore. And I know people will be like, oh, he just went 22 out of 23 last week. That's last week. We're talking about regularly. The Baker Mayfield we've seen over the last year and a half has not been super accurate or super consistent. Today, while he wasn't necessarily all over the place and all crazy, I wouldn't say that he lost the game. He didn't lose the game.
No, he didn't. He didn't at all. He
Nor
didn't
did he
turn the
do
ball
anything
over today.
for us to lose a game. You had guys that we thought had Jarvis been able to hold on to that touchdown. That changes a lot of stuff. Now maybe it forces them to have to throw. But when they didn't have to throw, now they can just, they can keep just pounding it. They didn't have to change what they were doing. And you're right, they did bully us on their offense. And not the type of bullying that you would normally think, like what we see from the Ravens and what we see from Pittsburgh is a bullying like, I'm taking your damn lunch and you ain't eating it at all. These dudes was like, no, you can eat your lunch, but I'm gonna talk about you while you eat your lunch so bad that even though you eating your lunch, you're gonna feel like you didn't eat that shit. Like they just mushed us and pushed us.
Right.
And guys were out of position to help their situation. But this also goes right back to what we talked about on Wednesday. I told you, and you knew this anyway, but I told you this defense is not good. Everything behind the front four is trash. Trash, trash, and more trash.
Yep. And too many yards after contact.
I mean, nobody was able to put nobody on the floor. No. Nobody was able to put anybody down. Nobody. Like a hit or a wrap up or a something to make them feel like, yo, we can't go that way no more. And, of course, Myles Garrett being kind of compromised by his ankle and his knee. Shout out to, my guy, Olivier Vernon, for finally, acting like
he was really like the only person that showed up today.
He was the only one that was kind of a little bit of everywhere, doing a little bit of everything, even on plays where he didn't make a play. I remember he, just kind of dragged that play out. He just strung it out all the way to the sideline. He didn't make the tackle, but dude kept going out because of what Olivier had done. So you have to, defensively, you got to give folks the credit that actually did some stuff. But everybody behind those guys, save like one other or two other people, those other 7 guys, well, I'm sorry, take those 2 out. Those other 5 guys, Terrence Mitchell is decent. He's out of position.
He's just decent, and how old is Terrence Mitchell? We've been in the league for about what? About 12 years, 13 years? And I'm not, I don't mean that to be, I'm not trying to be funny.
He's been around for a minute, which is why I say he's out of position. He's not, usually after 12 years, and I don't care how good you are, Hall of Fame status or whatever, generally after 10, 12 years, you're not still a prime cornerback.
And they try to
move you. They start trying to move you either inside or start trying to put you into safety or something. So, I'm not coming down on Mitch, on T Mitch. I ain't really coming down on nobody. I'm just being honest.
Right.
You guys
and you know what?
have not been good.
He's not that old either.
How old is
I just put up his stats. He came into the league in 2014. I don't know why I thought Terrence Mitchell has been in the league like forever. It seems like he's been in the league for a while. But
Well, listen. So that's still 6 years. You don't know what he's been here for 2 years or 3 years.
yeah, he came in 2018, so this is his third
Okay.
year with
Okay.
us from Kansas City. Actually, he's
And
bounced around quite a bit in his 6 years. He's already been with 6 teams.
but
So
guess what? And he's been here for three.
right,
Damn.
yeah, because he played. Because I guess he got traded 2016. He started off with Houston, ended up with Kansas City. He got drafted by the Cowboys, unfortunately. So
But you have to be able to, if you can't cover guys at the point position, which is either of the main cornerback spots, then that's when they put you in a nickel and a dime, which I think he's more than capable of, to be honest with you. We just don't have guys in front of him that are capable enough. Greedy Williams is the most hurt. I'm almost calling that dude Samuel L. Jackson from Broken, man. You always hurt.
right,
Get on the field. I see this dude on Instagram with a commercial. Man, listen, I don't want to see your ass at all unless you playing football.
exactly.
I understand you got endorsements and all that stuff, but I don't care about that. Unfortunately, I'm one of them old school Browns fans. That's like none of that junk matters to me. I'm not finna get one of those trucks, my G. I need to see you out on the field though. I need to see you play. And that's why people are hard on Baker too. Like you got, 15 commercials that come on during the game, but you stink. Those commercials are good. And then, he'll come on in the game and then kind of stink the spot up. He hasn't done that in the last 2 weeks. But I'm just saying that's why people are a little bit
Right.
agitated with.
All right. So let's assess where we are right now. So we're 5-3 going into the bye week. This is the first half of the season, and I think from where we've been in the past, I still think we're in a very, very good position to make the playoffs right now.
We are.
Now, um, a couple of things. I think when you look at the Browns and where we are compared to other teams in the league, I think we've moved out of the category of being a bad team. I think the bad teams that we play will probably pretty much beat. Even if we don't blow them out, I think we'll find a way to beat those teams. We're
Absolutely.
not in the elite status yet. So if we go up against the Kansas Cities, the Pittsburghs, the Baltimores, we're not really ready to consistently beat those teams. Although I think if we play at the level that we're capable of, we can compete with them a little. Now, so we're kind of like in that middle of the pack. Like you said, the Browns and the Raiders are very, very similar teams. So like the Browns, the Raiders, the Bills, like who else is in that category?
Tennessee right now, Tennessee. I don't care what
Yeah,
Tennessee
like
record says.
Tennessee,
They have to show that they can beat the big
right?
boys or compete with.
Tennessee in Indianapolis. So
Yeah.
we're kind of like in the middle of the pack. So what we need to do when we start playing these teams is that we're going to have to tighten up because we have a bunch of games coming up against like those middle teams
We do.
and who we call the bad teams. So, like it's time to turn it up a little bit now. I think the bye week is right on time. It's perfect. We have some injuries. Hopefully we'll get Chubb back after the bye. And that's one other thing I wanted to point out too, is that, and I mentioned this before, I think you kind of disagreed with me, is that I don't think Kareem Hunt is still all the way healthy. And the reason why I
I
said
don't
it, because
think so either.
he's missing that second gear. Because there's times you watch the play, the hole will be there. He'll get through the hole, maybe like 3-4 yards downfield, and he doesn't have that second gear to bust off a long one because he hasn't since Chubb has been hurt. I think maybe his longest run has probably maybe been in the 20-yard range,
Mm-hmm.
but he hasn't really consistently broken out with those big
Well,
runs. And I think he just doesn't maybe have that second gear right now to
I
do
think
so.
you're correct. I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully Chubb could be ready by week 10 against who we got coming up? Houston.
Yep.
And Houston is reeling. They're really on the downturn.
Reeling.
And now we don't
Reeling.
now historically we haven't played well against
They
the
usually
Texans.
kick our behind. They usually
Right.
give us the business. Like
Exactly.
it's usually over with in the middle of the first quarter.
So, but this is a game where even though their record, they're like 1 in whatever,
You still can't overlook them
you
cats.
can't overlook, because the NFL is so much parity in the NFL.
You saw it
Teams
today.
are losing.
You saw it today.
Yeah.
The Bengals beat the Titans.
Yeah, a
And
lot
you
of
look at
upsets.
those records. You
Right,
look at the
Minnesota
records.
went into Green Bay and beat up on
Right.
Green Bay.
When you look
It
at
was
the
another
records,
upset today too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to bring your A game. So
I mean, and I totally agree with almost everything that you just said. I don't know that there's one thing that I would say this. I definitely don't completely disagree with anything that you just said. I think Kareem Hunt. I know Kareem Hunt is hurt. I know he hasn't been 100%. And to be completely and totally honest with you, he hasn't run poorly. He ran pretty well today. I was actually wondering why they weren't giving him the ball a little bit more. Yeah, he was getting stopped on certain plays, and when cats know that you're gonna run, they just loaded the box up. And like you said, I don't know that those guys are more athletic per se. I don't know that for 100% sure. What I will say is that those guys on the Raiders side of the defense, on the other side of that ball, they were more willing. They were more aggressive. You texted me earlier and said,
yeah, right.
Man, they super aggressive. They super aggressive. You know what you've never texted me to say about the Browns? Man, they super aggressive. Man, we play aggressive. Because we don't. Just because you call a blitz doesn't mean that we're aggressive. It just makes the play calling aggressive. But what's this kid's name? Abram, number 24 for the safety for the Raiders.
Raiders. Yeah.
Bro, he made 3 tackles on Kareem Hunt. Yeah, Kareem Hunt got 8 yards or 15 yards, or I think the other time he got like 9 yards. Yep, he sure did. But you know what that dude did every single time? He made the tackle. And every time he hit him, and he jumped up and he said something. The first time he hit him, he came out of nowhere like a missile and cut his legs out, and got up and was like right in Kareem Hunt's ear. Right in his ear hole. The next time, Kareem Hunt went for about 20 yards downfield, and he got away with a little face mask or whatever, but he drove him out of bounds, tugged on your little face mask, and threw you down. We don't have people on our team that do the aggressive, even if you're not that good. We don't have guys that have that attitude, that I got a chip on my shoulder, that I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care that I'm bad. You're not going to keep. Chris Spielman said something. He said, man, at some point, you're not just going to keep pushing me around. I'm going to have to do something. I know I just said you can't just do this. But, man, you're not just going to keep doing this to me. Like, you have to. And Chris Spielman was commentating for the folks out there who might be listening, just so, we have some clarity. You have to have that attitude, that aggressive attitude. You have to have that, nah, man, you're not doing this to me. Like, people say that about me. They're like, dude, you're so competitive. It's ridiculous. Listen, you might beat me this time. You might embarrass me when you beat me because I ain't never done this, or you might be that much better than me.
Right.
But if I keep playing you, you're not gonna keep beating me the same way. Like I just don't. You're not gonna keep doing that to me, man. You're not gonna keep punking me like this. I'm not gonna not come to this park because of you. And I want guys like that. Not guys like me. I'm 5'10", like 195 pounds. You don't need me nowhere near a football field. I listen, damn sure
Man.
not a no linebacker and all that stuff.
Right. Well,
You
hopefully
need guys.
that there we got our scouts doing their due diligence right now
Yeah,
because that's what we
you
need.
gotta have
We
guys
need
that want.
playmakers on defense.
You gotta have guys that want to get at the ball, Sean.
Right.
You gotta have guys that want to be taught and want to learn. Like you gotta have football players, not guys that want to be in the NFL. You gotta have football players. You know
I
what I
need
mean?
guys that when they come up in that hole and they hit the running back or hit the blocker, whoever, they stone them and push them back. I'm tired of seeing us, hit them in a hole and then
I
they ended
hate
up still getting 3 or 4 yards
you,
because we
man.
can't get them to the ground. I
Absolutely,
can't stand it.
absolutely, sir. I agree 1,000%. But you know what? That's a football player. Those guys, Chris Spielman is a football player. If that dude's neck wasn't messed up, his career would have been longer. Why? Because he's a football player. Robert Smith, another Ohio State alumni, wasn't a football player. He played football and he did well for himself and all that stuff. But when he got to a certain point, he was like, yeah, I'm out. You have to live, breathe, eat, sleep, and crap football just like basketball. The greats always do. And sometimes
Right.
even the really good always do. You know, guys like James Harrison, when I hate James Harrison and because he was a Steeler, but when I watch that dude, like when you in the gym and you lifting stuff for no reason.
Right. Dude be in
Like,
there like bench pressing refrigerators
yeah, man, what
care. I
are
know I'm
you doing?
exaggerating, but you know what I mean.
But no,
Niggas
you
in there
know
just
what? You
doing
actually
crazy
ain't
stuff.
when you think about how much a refrigerator might weigh for one person. This dude is in
Right.
there trying to put it on his hips and like, you know, or deadlift. Man, what is this dude doing? You 35, 40 years old. Stop, bro. But he's wired differently as any NFL player should be, especially if you want to be an elite NFL player. When you hit
Right.
some as a defender, you need to knock their asses out. And we don't have guys that do that. Also, I'm going to point this one thing out before we move on. Today's weather is not new. It's not a weird occurrence here in Ohio. We've, and damn sure not here in Cleveland. We've crossed over into November. It's usually only going to get uglier. Sean and I have been in that stadium on many a Sunday, some Thursday nights, some Sunday nights. We've been in that stadium when it has been ugly, when it has been cold, when it has been wet, when it has been damp, when it has been, 6 or 7 different kinds of precipitation. And if you're going to get pumped by the weather here in Cleveland as a Cleveland Browns player or as a Cleveland Browns staff or as an entire team, we are not going to win a lot of games. I would love to say, because I agree with you, I think that we can be a playoff team. I think we're right on the cusp of that. But I don't even want to get as far as the playoffs because next week is November 8th. It's still a potential that what we saw today, maybe without the 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, there's a potential for snow, sleet, wet, cold, going in. And after that is November 15th. And going into, November 20th, it's going to just get worse progressively. These football players that play for our Browns have to figure out how to play in Cleveland or in Pittsburgh or in Cincinnati because it gets cold in all of those places the same kind of way. And if you can't win those games,
Right.
man, and if you can't participate, because we talked about that too, Pittsburgh and Baltimore have been the kings of it's only going to be a 13 to 10 game. and they just show up and they just beat you in the face and they just get their little 12 or 13 points and they walk out of there with a win. We have to learn how to become that. Maybe we're not that right now, and I get that. But we're going to have to become that. And that could also cause us to not make the playoffs as much as we think that we're a playoff team. I think that Gruden kind of pulled something out of his hat today with how the Browns played, unless the Browns make an adjustment. And I also want to point this out because I ain't letting this go. Gruden said earlier this week, we poured water, we put water on the balls, we put water inside of a fan to make water come out at us because we thought it might be rainy or windy or whatever. We did that all week for a game in Cleveland against the Browns because I think this game might be a little bit important as we try to keep up with Kansas City. Does that sound like what Kevin Stefanski said when it's just another game?
Right.
No. And his team didn't play like that either. That's why that's important to me because you got to have that attitude. You can't just, oh, it's just 1 week and now we're another week and now we're good. Man, you never going to win like that. You got to change that philosophy. And your team has to understand that not having that philosophy can't happen inside these four walls in Berea or in that damn stadium.
Yep, I agree with you. So, do you try to make a move for us at the trade deadline? See, my only thing with that is because I hear everybody saying we got to make a trade, we got to make a trade, but we're not a Super Bowl team. We're not like one or two pieces to fill in that'll take us over the top. So any move that we make has to be a smart one. Like you don't want to give up too much, for one player, especially a guy that may not be here. But I would just like to see them maybe if you can get them on a cheap. I know Houston is kind of like maybe having like a fire sale with some of their guys, like a Whitney Merciless or somebody of that ilk. That especially if you can maybe keep them for a couple of years, maybe just bring in somebody to stabilize that defense a little bit, bring a veteran presence. That's kind of what I want to see. Now, if they don't make a move, I'm not going to be upset either. But, I just want them to be smart about it. Don't just make a move just for the sake of making a move. If you can bring in a veteran, a solid guy that can help out and maybe stabilize us a little bit.
What do we have, like a week or two?
I want to say it's Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because
I'll double check
this is week 8. Because this is week 8.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I think you might be right. Well, I do believe that if there's going to be a trade or if there could be a trade, to me, you're only going to look for somebody on defense, like you said. A middle linebacker to me, somebody that can quarterback those guys back there. But it's no point in bringing in a guy that, is going to be gone, come into the season. So I do agree with you on that one. But I'm not going to be mad if they don't do anything. And honestly, we don't have a lot of pieces that are even attractive. I mean, you got Olivier, but he's only attractive for us because you get rid of some of that money some of that dead money that's on that contract.
Right.
But that's really about it. I mean, hell, at this, from what I've seen out of Njoku, that dude is gonna get us a bag of Reese's Pieces and a cherry slice.
Man, that's even too good for that, man. It'd be more like a box of Good and Plenty. It's some nasty ass candy. We're not gonna get the good stuff. Reese's Pieces is the good stuff, man. We're not getting that. Go get some damn Good and Plenties or a Zagnut. Some type of raggedy ass candy.
Some of them coconut, them rainbow coconut joints that come in the little wrapper, the square thing.
Oh man.
You're gonna get a bag of them
Right.
messing around with Njoku, dude. You can't be walking around talking about you on out and you can't catch or don't catch. I ain't gonna even say you can't catch. You don't catch. And why do you try to high jump everybody?
Exactly.
Ain't that how he got his ass hurt
That's
last
how he
year?
got hurt last year. Broke his
I mean,
wrist
listen,
doing
Baker
that.
Baker set his ass up, but he didn't have to jump. So here you are jumping again for no reason. And I'm like, man, come on, bro. I've always liked that kid. I've always felt like his talent kind of supersedes him. But if you can't catch up, if your mind can't catch up to your talent, bro,
Right.
I don't know that his mind, I don't know that his mind catches up with his talent. I think
Yeah.
he thinks he's better than he is, and he might be that good in terms of his talent. The problem is you got to actually play that way. And you got to do the work, not just show up at camp and not just be in practice. You have to do the work. And I agree with you about this one thing. I think that they need more veterans on this team in a lot of areas. Like, I think having Juice around, I think having OBJ around has helped Rashard Higgins and Donovan Jones Peoples Jones rather. You know, I think that has worked for them. Hell, I think having Case Keenum has helped Baker. There's no, Austin Hooper might have helped Njoku, but as soon as that dude came, Njoku was like, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
So he
And
don't
really,
want
after they drafted Harrison Bryant too, I think that was more so the one that really pissed him off.
They got him, and he didn't see that coming. But he knew bringing in a guy like Austin Hooper ain't coming in here to just block. He's not coming in here, especially the money that they paid that dude. He's not coming in here to just block or to just be the second guy. He's coming in here to take my job. So when you coming to take my job, man, like you said, the icing on the cake was Bryant. Because now you like, so you went out and got one of the best available tight end, and then went out and got the best college tight end. Oh man, I'm out of here. But you know what those dudes show me every week? Aside from that fumble today that I saw from Harrison Bryant, every week Harrison Bryant is just there and playing hard and doing whatever the team needs. Like, I think guys miss that seemingly simple part. Do what your team needs you to do, man. Just do
and everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. And it will fall into place for you all the way across the NFL spectrum, because that part will follow you every place that you go.
Exactly. Well, look, man, let's go ahead and give away our game balls. Or in my case, that's what I'm saying. I have one game. I have one. I have one game ball to give, and that's just to Olivier Vernon for showing up on defense today. So I will give him one. Nobody else deserves a damn thing. As a matter of fact, if I was Kevin Stefanski, I know it's going into the bye week, but y'all coming in to watch film tomorrow.
Yep.
I'll give you a break later on, but y'all coming in, we're gonna break down film.
Yep.
And have a light practice just because.
We might do a walkthrough. I don't know.
Exactly.
And if I give out a game ball, if I give a game ball out, I'm giving out a deflated game ball, because that's how y'all play. I'm giving out deflated ass game balls today.
Right.
So, in order to keep that kind of tucked in so guys don't check out, I'm not going to give no game balls, because we lost and we play like, to me, we play like a team that thought or felt that we could just play one way and still keep winning.
Right. We play like a freshly laid pile of doo-doo. Not one that's been a freshly laid pile. Like the dog, he just laid it and it's still steaming.
Hot. It's still warm.
It's still warm. That's how we played today. So let's move
Also,
on
hey,
to
wait. You know
yeah.
what? I want to send a shout out to my guy Elton, who was on the show the other day, last week, and this ain't his fault, but I gotta call him out. Last week he said, "I said, man, when is Baker gonna play like this? The 5 touchdown, 297-yard Baker." He said, "Oh, next week." Not quite. Not quite, homie. Not quite.
All right, man.
He didn't play awful, and it ain't his fault that we lost. But man, he didn't come close to that guy.
Hey, no. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Ohio State University, who played the Penn State Nittany Lions yesterday in Happy Valley on Halloween night. Ohio State came away with the victory, 38 to 25. My only issue with the game was that I think that it was coming so easy to them that we took our foot off the gas and let Penn State hang around more than they should. Justin Fields had another great game, and the thing I like what Justin Fields is doing, he's just taking what the defense gives him. If it's a 4-yard out, he's taking the 4-yard out. If he can hit a live A deep, he hits a live A deep. If he has to hit one of the running backs in the flat, he hits him in the flat. He doesn't try to do anything extra. He doesn't try to be the hero. He just runs the offense efficiently.
Yep.
And we pretty much had we had everything rolling yesterday, man. So
Yep.
What are your thoughts on the game yesterday?
I agree with a lot of that. I think that I'm gonna say something. It's not really that bold. It's not really that bold. I thought about it when I was writing it down, when I was doing my notes last night. I said, man, I gotta go back and do some research before I say that. But then I was like, no, I don't. Listen, Justin Fields is the best quarterback that Ohio State's ever had.
Oh, that's not a reach at all.
As far
as in the modern era, yeah.
Look,
as far
that's
as
what I said.
in my lifetime, for what I've seen, yes, he is.
He's the best quarterback, and that's not a knock on Joe Burrow. It's not a knock on Joe Burrow at all, because Joe Burrow is still an Ohio State quarterback. He started here. He was developed here. He went to LSU. He had a great career in LSU too. But that's how good Joe Burrow was. But this kid, going back, he's got an electric arm. And I don't even want to call it an electric arm. Electric arm is kind of like
Mahomes.
Mahomes. Yeah, a guy that could kind of
have a Mahomes arm. No.
So he's not really the Mahomes type of kid. He's not the Cardell Jones, like, just freaking cannon. I tell you what, Troy Smith had a cannon too, to be so little. Troy had a cannon. I think he's what they wanted JT Barrett to be. They wanted JT to be a decision maker. This kid is a great decision maker. Justin Fields is. He's a great decision maker. He's a better thrower than everybody who's come out. No, he doesn't necessarily have super arm strength, but he can make every throw. And he
has an NFL arm.
And he throws with the touch,
and I think sometimes having a strong arm is sometimes overrated if you don't know what to do with it. Like Joe Montana didn't have the strongest arm, but he was accurate. He had great ball placement.
Yep.
He had a catchable ball.
Yep.
So that's what it comes down to a lot of times. And I think Justin Fields just, I was kind of skeptical when we got him because I know he had some issues at Georgia, not off the field, but kind of, he was like, well, man, I'm not getting a chance to play. I don't want to, I thought maybe his attitude might have been a little bad, and that's my fault for judging the kid without really.
But you know what?
He's been nothing but a model citizen since he's been here.
I'll be honest with you, man. That's not. I don't think there's anything wrong with that assessment from a distance, because you don't know, and how would you know until you see, right? So to me, when you get a transfer kid, like we got Trey Sermon, I think what I saw on tape of Trey Sermon, oh yeah, that dude looks like he can run, and he looks like he's really selective with his holes, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that, but what I see on tape, it looks like he's good. I haven't seen that yet. Not to say that he's awful, because I think he rushed yesterday for like 4.3 a carry,
Something like that. I'll go ahead and look that up really
which is the
quickly.
same. Which is the same as Master Teague. And just kind of I'm a sidebar real quick. Is it me, or is Master Teague fatter than he was last year?
Yes.
I
I don't
was
know. I don't even know if he's fatter, but he's just bigger. Man, his arms are huge.
that's what I mean. And maybe I said fatter because he looks different in his. He looked a
Right.
lot smaller last year, but Master Teague had like 100 yards yesterday. I'm still concerned about the run game because the runs don't look like they're coming as easy. Also, I'm gonna tell you something else. I know that the other issue that I have, our running backs aren't fast. I'm so
No, they're
used
not.
to having the JKs, the Clarettes, the guys that just come out of that backfield like lightning. Even though if you may not be, getting but 4 or 5 yards, you're afraid of their speed. I don't know that we have those guys right now with Trey Sermon and with
Yeah,
and
I
with,
don't. And
Teague.
I told you last week that I'm not a big fan of Teague. To me,
I know
he's
you're
a
not,
one cut.
but
He's
he's a
a one cut
workhorse.
back.
But he's a
Yeah.
workhorse.
Now, I would rather for him to be the change of pace back than to be the starting back.
And I agree with that. I think that's
Now,
probably his better placement in the offense.
this other kid, like I said, the one I like, the freshman, what's his name, Chambers.
Yeah,
What I've seen of him, I like him better than the other two. But
he
I
just
think
doesn't
because
get he don't get the tick.
he won't, because he's the freshman.
Yeah,
And I hope it doesn't turn into. You remember back in the 90s, I think it was around the Eddie George era. Remember when we had Butler Benote? And every time Benote got the ball, all he did was run for like 30, 40 yards. Then you never see him again.
Coop
Right.
was
And
like Coop was like,
never right. And we've never used him. I hope this does not turn into a Butler Benote situation. Because Teague, like I said, he's okay. As long as the hole is there, he's fine. Like he
yeah,
kind of reminds me of Mark Ingram. As long as you have enough hole for him to wiggle through, he's going to get you, a decent amount of yards. But if the hole is not there, he's not going to be the type of back that can probe, have the vision to kind of make something.
I'll do you one better.
But I
I'll
hope he
do you
proves me
one better.
wrong.
I'll do you one better. I don't think he's like Mark Ingram. I think he's more like Trent Richardson, a guy that can't find a
Trent?
hole.
Which Trent? College Trent or pro Trent?
The in between Trent.
Because
Because
college Trent was great. He was
no,
fantastic.
that's why I didn't say. Listen, the in between Trent, the Trent between Cleveland and Indianapolis, because there were times here that you saw those flashes. He just didn't always find the hole like he should have found the hole. But back then, we didn't have the offensive line that was going to create 6 and 7 yard gaps between the guard and the tackle like they did in Alabama.
Right.
We weren't road grading guys back when he was here. So he had a hard time, trying to figure out his spots. And like you said, that was a guy who he wasn't shifty. He was indecisive. And that's kind of what I see in Master T. He's just indecisive at times, especially to me, I think the short yards should be easy. But like when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and we can't get the 3rd and 1 or the 4th and 1 because Trey Sermon or Master T can't push their way through that, that's a problem.
Yeah. Now, luckily, the Big Ten is trash. So
we're gonna get out of the Big Ten. I'm looking foresight wise.
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta be able to put a threat in a Clemson. We got to be able to put a threat in an Alabama, so that when we get to the playoff, or if we get to the playoffs, these guys can at least they already have to account for Justin Fields. There ain't nobody in the country that won't feel like they have to account for Justin Fields. But now it would help if we had a run game. Olave is a problem. Garrett Wilson is a problem. I mean, hell, I had walked in the kitchen to get a beer, came back, we was on the 10-yard
touchdown. Right.
Like, damn, what happened?
Like, really, the only thing that can derail Ohio State at this point in time is COVID.
Yeah.
Because for one thing, I mean, the Big Ten probably has, out of all the conferences, probably has the worst leadership out of any of the Power Five. They are awful. They're arrogant. They, I don't know what other word I can use to describe them. They just, I don't know, like to make the COVID protocol so strict that if you test positive for COVID, that you have to go into a 3-week pretty much isolation.
Well, that's what's going on with the kid in with Wisconsin. The quarterback in Clemson. That quarterback out.
Well, he has a 10-day isolation. So but the difference is, but hold on, the difference with the Big Ten is that it's a 21-day isolation.
Oh, they got the 3 week. Why they got the 3 week?
And hold on, and you can't make up games. They don't have provision. So Wisconsin, Nebraska got canceled. Yeah, and they can't. And there's that's just it. And there's no procedure.
I didn't know that.
Or anything in place for them to That's what I'm saying. Why their leadership is so bad. So now you pretty much screwed Wisconsin. Or what if Wisconsin runs the table, but they have a game less than everybody else? So how do you determine a Big Ten champion or anything like that? So
you decide to shorten their season, first of all.
Yes, yeah, so 8 games to begin with. And now you take one away with no provision to make up that game.
As we're in the midst of a pandemic, we're not gonna even give you an opportunity to make up the games that could help you, help your school. Hell, I mean, every school has a medical facility. Maybe what we make in these games could help the medical facility find a possible cure. Nope. We're going to cut that out.
Yeah, it's just that it just wasn't smart. And really, the NCAA needs a better,
it's too late.
They need not even just for coronavirus, just how they regulate the conferences, period. They need better leadership. Overall, every conference is pretty much rogue. They do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's too late.
Because one thing about this season is, and one reason why it's been so hard for me to get into college football this year is just that it's just so ragtag. You know what I'm saying? It just feels like you got all these random games just popping up. You don't have any interconference play. So we were stuck at first before Big Ten started. We were stuck with the ACC, which I call the Senate League of College Football. So all you had was Clemson against a bunch of chumps every week. Even yesterday, man, when they without Trevor Lawrence,
almost laid that egg against BC.
They almost laid the egg, but they still had enough talent. They knew that they was going to come back and win that game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. At some point, you can see it coming. Yeah. So,
I mean, again, it's too late for the change, though, bro. They done already gave up the reins. So it's just like, and you and I talked about this. It's just like the federal government in the states. The NCAA stands back like this and allows the conferences to dictate the pace in whatever it is that they do. Why they do that? You want to know why? You know how much money these bitches bring in? Right. It's all about money. Yeah, so I'm not going to say nothing to the SEC. You know how much money the top 3 teams in the SEC brings in.
Exactly.
I ain't saying, look, when Ohio State in the Big Ten decided that they were going to postpone their season, the NCAA ain't say shit. You know why? Do you know how much money Ohio State, Michigan, and Wisconsin bring in to the NCAA? Ohio State, and I don't think that if there's like 3 other schools that make more money than Ohio State.
Yeah, Ohio State's like in the top 5, I
Yeah,
think, in
I
revenue.
think
It's
it's
like us,
Alabama, I think it's
USC,
USC, and Michigan.
Alabama, Michigan. Yeah.
Like that's it. So 2 of those schools exist in the same conference. So when when the Big Ten or the B1G, as I like to call them, when the B1G decides we ain't playing, the NCAA is like, okay.
And speaking of that, that stupid ass Big Ten logo is another reason why they don't have one in the leadership. That's the dumbest logo. What does that even mean?
With a
The
B1G,
B1G. What does that mean, man? Like, no, you know what? Don't get me started on that. It's just dumb. Like letting Rutgers in the Big Ten is dumb.
they would
You
listen,
know,
man. They're only doing that. They're only doing that to bring in more revenue. Like that actually helped out of everybody in the NCAA. Everybody in the Big Ten. It really only helped Rutgers because now
well,
Rutgers gets, big attractions every other year.
yeah, and how it was pointed out to me, Corey, my boy Corey Hill, he
Yeah.
always is always good at showing me the business side of things. Because I always look at things from a competitive sports view, and he always looks at it from the business point of view as far as the money. He said the reason why Ohio State went and got Rutgers because it gives them an East Coast presence. So now you can try to recruit from New Jersey, New York, up and down
Well,
the
that
East
too.
Coast because
That's a
now
hell of a
Ohio
that's a
State
hell
goes
of a
to
thing.
yeah, and then I think didn't we have the Big Ten tournament at Barclays one year?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Rutgers technically could be like the whole school being from New Jersey. So
Because in general, the headquarters is in Indianapolis. It's
right,
generally there.
right. So but look at it. So now you can have it. You can have your Big Ten championships and tournaments. You have them in Chicago. You can have it in Indianapolis, the
Maryland. Well,
Midwest, and now you have the East Coast presence, and now you bring Maryland in, you get that Atlantic region. Now you can go in there too, and that's what they did. It now from a pure sports competitive, view of it. I hate it. Like Maryland has no business being in the Big Ten, and neither does Rutgers. But from the business perspective, like you said, everything comes down
yeah,
to
it comes
money at
down
the end
to
of
the
the day,
money.
and that's why they
And
want it out.
you're a lot like me, and sometimes I allow you to take my view of stuff because we're traditionalists. So to us,
Right.
the Big Ten is the Big Ten. It's the Midwest. It's all of us in the Midwest. It's Illinois. It's Indiana. It's Michigan State. Iowa. That's it. That's it. You shouldn't go outside of that. That bracket. Now the
Right.
crazier part is you go outside of that region, right next door to Missouri and Nebraska, and I'm like, yeah, well they suck though. But Iowa, on the other hand, they good because they in our little region.
Right. That's hilarious. Now, speaking of one of those schools, that school up north with those ugly urine stain uniforms, lost at home to the Michigan State, but I loved every minute of it. I
Listen,
watched that whole game. I watched the whole game, and I knew they were going to lose that game, and I loved it.
I didn't know that they were going to lose to begin with. I turned to it after it was close early on. I forget what the score was when I turned, but I said, oh, I think Michigan State scored first. So I said, oh man, I might have to turn to that because I wouldn't have expected them to score first. I turned to the game, and they had pulled it a little bit closer. Listen, I don't know that there's many things that really just makes my soul happy, like watching Michigan lose football games.
Especially losing games that they're not supposed to lose. Like if they lose to a
Man,
team that's better than them, I don't have, that doesn't really do anything for me. But when they lose
yeah,
to like a Michigan State, because
yes,
Mel Tucker did everything in his power to get that game away.
he
Now,
did.
shout out to Mel Tucker, who's a Cleveland Heights alum. That's my alma mater. I've seen him progress throughout his career, and hopefully he has success at Michigan State.
Shout
Not
out
too
to
much because we
Mel.
don't want him beating us, but um, you could tell he was being very, very conservative that game. Like, hey, let's not do anything to lose the game.
Right.
And Michigan couldn't take advantage of it at all. They had plenty of chances to win that game, and
I don't
they
understand
blew it.
Michigan.
So
Not that I
I
not
don't
that I
understand
want
it either.
to. I don't understand Michigan, and again, not that I want to, but to me, apparently they're good because they keep every year they keep being ranked in the top 10 or whatever, like preseason top 10 or whatever. I just don't understand how every single year, bro, they get beat in a way, but before we can even get to it,
Right.
by a team like you said that's not even equivalent to them on paper. Whether it's because they've been beaten by Michigan State at least twice in the last however long Harbaugh's been there.
This
You
might be
know,
Harbaugh's last year.
and the one year, look, the first time them fools lost to Michigan State, boy, you talk about it. Listen,
That was on a block punt, wasn't it?
it came up on my timeline not too long ago. I said, man, you talking about a great feeling. Like I could have gotten evicted that night, and I'd have been like, "It's all good, man. I'll move all this stuff out by myself. Don't worry about it. I'm
Michigan
good,
lost.
man." Did you watch the game? I watched that game.
Right.
Also, I just want to point out that Penn State's coach, James Franklin, he's actually a good coach. He kept those guys in the game somehow. Like I think a lot of what you said was the truth. I think we kind of took our foot off the gas, which allowed them to come back in. But that dude, James Franklin, looks like Keegan Michael Key from Key and Peele.
He does not. And Franklin, he'll do some boneheaded stuff too during the game. He'll do one or two very, very questionable things that normally will cost Penn State a game. Because here's the thing. Ohio State is like the king of recruiting in the Big Ten. But Penn State and Michigan is not that far behind. Both of those programs put several players in the NFL every year.
Regularly, yeah.
Wisconsin too. But for whatever reason, they can't get over that hump. But I think a lot of that just comes to coaching. Like games can come down to one or two plays, during a crucial game that'll cost them the game. And Penn State is another one. Penn State will lose a game somewhere during the season that they have no business losing. Now, in this case, they've done it already. They lost to Indiana.
So here's what I ask:
you can't be a national title contender and lose games to Indiana. You just can't do it.
Well, listen, we lost to Purdue a couple
Exactly.
years.
Exactly. And we were arrogant enough to still think that we belonged in the college playoffs. Now it's like, no, you can't give up. What did we give up? Like 52 points?
I was about to say they damn near gave up 60 points, man.
Something like that. Yeah, you cannot give up 60 points to Purdue. And the thing about that game too, I remember the pundits saying that was a trap game for Ohio State. I'm like, man, y'all crazy. Like, we're not about to go into Purdue and
Purdue, man.
Right, and Purdue, and from the opening kickoff, it was just all bad.
I tell you what, had that happened in the shoe, it would have been. It wouldn't have been a discussion about whether they belong. Oh, you lost that at home, homie? Nah.
Right.
Because you can't explain that away. You lose that game to say Michigan. Like when Auburn and Alabama played and they beat them down
It'd
there.
be
They say, "Oh no,
Alabama, and Alabama still
that's
got
your
in.
main rival. That's your main rival, so that's different." So Purdue ain't our main. Purdue ain't even our tertiary rival.
Purdue don't even have a rival.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think they try to make Indiana their rival, but is it really?
Basketball, yeah. And
I
hoop,
mean, but
that's the rival, but
there's no
football, no.
trophy for it. Like, in football, we got
You
the
know what?
trophy.
No, they do. No,
Do
a
they?
lot of those schools that had those whack trophies. I think Michigan and Minnesota has a trophy.
Yeah, they
I
do the Paul
guess,
Bunyan. That's the Paul
yeah,
Bunyan.
yeah, I guess like from like back in the 1800s and stuff from whatever, they
But
have
that's in
these
football.
weird
They don't do that in
rivalries.
basketball, though, do they?
Yeah. No, basketball, no. But in football, they have these
Yeah, I
I
know
think
about the
Wisconsin.
Illy. We got one too. We got the Illy Buck with Illinois.
Why?
I It's the Illy Buck
Man,
Trophy.
when was the last time Illinois actually beat us in the game?
I hope I
It's been
wasn't
a minute.
alive, because if
Yeah,
I'm sure I was younger when it happened. I'm
it's
sure
probably
I
one of
was
those
younger.
random seasons. Remember that first year Trussell got here, we had a bunch of losses. Um, the year that
The year
what's his name?
after the championship, after your boy left,
Yeah, after Tressel left, who took over? What was his name?
Fickle.
Yeah, that year, and he actually coached well,
Yeah,
considering what was going on
he
because he
didn't
didn't
go.
have any
That
players
was the
that
last
year.
time we lost to Michigan, was
Right,
when Fickle was in. And I told him, I
right.
said, "Man, that shit don't count." But okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure probably that year we probably lost to Illinois or something like that, but it hasn't been many in the last 20
All
years.
right.
So.
Well, all right. So as we move on past the Ohio State Penn State game, again, Ohio State won. They had before we move on, I gotta mention this. Jahan Dotson, number 5, their wide receiver, he gave uh, our prime and primary cornerback all the problems he could deal with last night. He
Mm-hmm.
had 8 catches, 144 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and 2 circus catches.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't know who that dude was before last night, so I have to give a shout out. I won't give that dude no game ball because he don't play for us. But if I could give someone a game ball on the other team, I would have gave it to that guy.
And
Gee,
Penn State has been putting in quite a few receivers in the league too.
yeah,
Godwin is one.
yep. I didn't know he went to
Who
Penn
else?
State.
It's a
I didn't
couple.
remember.
Yeah, he went there. It's a
I
couple of
didn't
them.
remember him. Somebody said that, and I went and looked, and I said, "Wow, really?"
I remember him when he was there.
I didn't remember for some
He
reason. I
just,
don't.
well, Penn State always has a garbage quarterback, so it was always hard to notice their receivers.
That's okay. All
You
right,
know,
all right, all right. Touche, my nigga.
right? They do, man. Penn State always has like those real scrappy guys that can
Yeah,
beat you, but they're not
the,
going to the NFL, and they do go to
the
the NFL.
scrappiest game managers ever.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They're so good. So okay, let's real quick before we get out of here. We want to mention some stuff about the NBA. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit. And NBA news, and the only reason that this kind of comes up, I know the season is over with, but apparently the league is looking to restart. And Sean and I mentioned this, Sean specifically, about getting the league back on its normal schedule. And how does that occur? So this is why this is pertinent to our show. Reportedly, the league has suggested that it's lost like $1.5 billion due to the shutdown and the bubble type of situation. Now, I don't know if you call it loss or you call it I didn't project this the correct way. Like, how does that work? If your guys
Right.
projected you'd make $20 this year and you made 18, was it an under projection? Was it underperformance, or were they just bad mathematicians?
Right.
You know what I mean? But I will give him some credit because nobody foresaw the COVID situation. So what they projected was probably more about what they thought was going to continue to happen because basketball was the only thing going at that time that got shut down. So they were probably just basing their beliefs on, or their projections on, a full season. So of course they were under whatever cap or
Right.
whatever numbers that they were supposed to be under. I don't know why people don't see through some of those, smoke and mirrors that they try to throw at folks. Anyway, so they're looking to start up. They came up with two different dates. One of the dates was at Christmas, and the other date was Martin Luther King Day. I think the players are leaning more towards Martin Luther King Day. I think the league is leaning more towards Christmas. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, he says the league fears that if they start after Christmas, anytime after Christmas, that they will lose somewhere close to 500 million to potentially $1 billion. So again, we're back in this whole discussion more or less because of money, not because of what's right or what's good for people or what's good for individuals, et cetera, et cetera. Because again, oh well, you know what? Before I get into that, let me roll this out real quick, and then we'll get into what we think about it. So the NBA told the board of governors that they anticipate, as they go forward, 72 game season. So that's only 10 short of a full NBA season. With training camp starting December 1st, with the potential of maybe this was their initial presentation to the board of directors, the board of governors. I'm sorry, that they would start in December. Training camp would start December 1st. Then they would start on on this December 25th, and then they'd be done by the time the Olympics happen in July. Listen, man, that's a lot of freaking basketball in a compacted shorter time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of freaking basketball. I've already heard guys saying that they're not. I heard Danny Green say, hey, listen, I'll tell you what, if they start in December, LeBron ain't coming back. And it's a lot of guys that are veterans that won't show up, especially the higher tiered guys. So if I'm the players, the higher tiered guys, just like being in a bubble, you got leverage. The thing is trying to get the lower tiered guys to agree to something where their money is still going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the balance is.
Yeah. And I know why the NBA probably wants to start on Christmas, because that's their showcase day as far as the TV ratings.
For sure. They can make some of that money that they've lost in the ratings.
Yeah. Because starting the games on Christmas, you can promote that a lot easier than you can starting on MLK Day. For one thing, they've already lost ratings because of everything that's been going on.
Say that.
Yeah, and they started on MLK to bring up more.
It's just going to bring up more
justice. It's going to turn off a lot of the white crowd and the white fans.
Yep.
So that's probably the main reason why they rather do it on Christmas than MLK Day. So
because Christmas is white as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then MLK Day is black as hell. Like if they said that they'd have a difference and when they wanted to start it, they say, we're gonna start on Kwanzaa. They'd be like, what? They don't want to start on Kwanzaa either, I'll tell you that.
Right.
But and that's all it is. It's really a money play. I'm not upset per se at uh, the angle of the owners or the angle of the NBA. I think it's ridiculous because you're asking guys. And if I have a problem, it's because you're asking. So you're asking LeBron to 2 months. This dude is 35, 36. He'll be 36 this year, I think, in December. So you're asking LeBron, take 2 months off, homie. Not even a full 2 months because training camp starts December 1st, according to how their presentation came up.
Right.
The finals just finished last month. Last week. So show up, be in training camp, and then do training camp for a month, and then be ready to play. We're gonna compact 72 games. Now, a regular NBA season starts at the end of August, beginning of September. If I'm not, no, September, October.
No. Actually, the season starts in. Well, now they keep pushing it back.
It's September,
so now
October.
it starts in October. It starts in
September,
training
October.
camp starts in September.
End
The
of
season starts in
September.
October.
End of September, beginning of October. So you're trying to start a season in the end of basically January because December 21st, December 25th is only 6 days away from the new year. So only a week in between the new year. So basically you want to play 72 games between January and July. A season that starts in October. You want to basically take out 3 months and compact all these games in after guys just compacted all these games in.
Right.
Now everybody in the league didn't do that, but I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, now here's the thing too, is that the majority of the league, they're probably cool with that in this summer because they've had damn near they would have had like 9 months off by that time.
That's
now
the
LA,
other point.
right now LA and Miami and a couple of the playoff teams will be the ones at the disadvantage. Really, just LA and Miami, really. They would be the ones at the disadvantage. But the other 30 teams, they were like, man, we ain't had enough time off as it is. Let's go. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out because normally the players run the league in the NBA. Player union is strong. Normally the players, or at least there's a compromise somewhere. Where the owners don't get everything that they want and the players don't get everything that they want. And sometimes they kind of meet somewhere like in the middle.
So tell me this though. If you, I don't know where this puts you though. I was getting ready to ask I was getting ready to ask a specific question, but I know how your mind works. So if I ask this, you're gonna say, "Well, which tier am I on?" So I'm gonna ask it, and if you ask me back, I'll give you one.
All right.
So as an NBA player, say you're an NBA player. The league is like, yo, we starting on Christmas. What is your take on
that? Yeah, like the majority of the players need those game checks.
I'm talking about you.
Oh, me personally?
Yeah. So which tier?
I've been like, you know what? Because I understand the circumstances of what happened. I'm like, let's go because we have to get it back on a regular schedule at some point. I want as many game checks as I can get.
No, go ahead, bro.
Yes, I'm saying I want as many game checks as I can get, and I'm ready. Let's go.
I can dig that. But let's say that you're an older player, you're a vet. That don't sit as well with the vets as it might with those younger guys. So, like, and you're a member of the NBA Players Association. So, how do you pitch that to those guys, those older guys, or those guys that are, kind of like, yo, hold up. I don't know about all that. You know, how would you pitch that? Or do you think you could?
Um, it's going to come down to money at the end of the day, because here's the other thing too. You can let's say you don't start until January, middle of January, right?
Okay.
Uh, you're gonna want your full salary, what you signed that contract for. The owner's gonna come back and say, we have to prorate it because we're not playing the same amount of games. On top of that, we don't know if fans are going to be allowed to come in. So our revenue is cut. Our revenue stream. We already took a loss on the previous season, and we got to work something out. So I think, man, you might have some type of labor dispute
I'm
going
sure
to
you
this
will.
next season too,
And
if they
I
don't have
agree with that.
particulars worked out. So, I mean, basically, what it's going to come down to, the younger players who aren't making that much money are going to want to go early, and then the vets, or the ones, the max contract guys who can afford to not play right away, they're going to want to wait.
Now,
And normally, the younger guys went out because there's more of them. There's more of the guys not making that much than it is max
oh
players.
yeah, for sure.
So,
For
right.
sure.
So,
What percentage of guys that are just making like regular money would you say? And I mean regular money based in the NBA. I
based
would
on
say
it,
I would say probably
like
like 70%
60%.
of it. Or you say
Yeah, like
60. I was
60,
gonna say
70.
like 70% of the guys probably make basic money in the
All right.
NBA. The other 30% are
Guys,
like,
pretty much guys 6 through 12
yeah,
on the bench. But the NBA player, they make so much money though, man. Um, like once you hit a certain point in the league, you get that veteran minimum. A lot of those guys are still
yeah,
making.
you
You know,
making
you
a
could,
million and a half, $2 million a year if
yeah,
you
you
get a
could be the
certain.
10th guy on the bench and you
Yeah.
still making, like I said, a few million. So,
But you know what? I did see one thing. I kept digging, I kept looking. So apparently they're gonna meet again on Friday, but there's a possibility if they can't find an even ground because the players are still pushing for a later start date
mhm.
that they could potentially just like eliminate the CBA and say it's because of COVID.
Oh wow,
Yeah. So how
jeez,
about
all
that?
right, yeah, that would be crazy if that went down. But
Yeah, they eliminate
I
the
do
CBA.
but I do anticipate some type of conflict with this. But you know what? Adam Silver is probably the best commissioner out of all the major sports. Like he
Yeah.
finds a way to find a common ground um, with everything. As a matter of fact, the NBA may be, the NFL gets a lot of praise for how it's run and everything, but I think the NBA, as far as how they take care of their players, as far as letting the players express themselves, and as far as other things too, may be the best run. Matter of fact, they handled the COVID situation better than anyone. Now, a lot of that just has to do with logistics. It was maybe easier for them to go into a bubble, but they started their season restart without a hit and kind of went through without any, too many major problems. But anyway, I do think that it's going to be some type of conflict or labor dispute. And that's something I'm definitely going to watch, man. It's interesting to see how they're going to do this,
Yeah.
because at some point, because you have to get back into a regular cycle at some point. And of all the major sports, they're the only ones that are off. Like baseball's fine; they got their regular off season. Football most likely will be okay, but basketball was the one that really um, they got thrown off with everything. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And the bigger part of basketball is like you said, how even when we start back up, because first of all, because we all know it's about money at the end of the day. The bottom line is the bottom line. At the end of the day, how do we, recoup this money, especially if the COVID situation is still prevalent? Like, and like football is outside. So you can have people in the stadium, but in an indoor stadium, same thing with baseball. It's outside. So I think going into next season, even if COVID is still prevalent, you probably won't be able to have capacity, of course, but you'll be able to have, 10, 12, 13,000 people in your
Right.
stadium and space them out. How do you pull that off inside with the
You
NBA? Like, I think
you
that's all.
can.
I think
You just
that's
got to
going to be
have
a
them
problem.
spaced out. Yeah, I mean, most NBA arenas seat between 15 and 20,000.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, you could probably have 3 or 4,000 in there, and you spread them out.
I mean, I think you can, but how do you uh, pitch that to the owners who are claiming or suggesting, hey, I lost X amount of millions of dollars last year. I don't want to keep bleeding money because we were empty, or not only were we empty, but we was totally shut down because we the Cavs, so we didn't make the book.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know Dan Gilbert ain't losing no money, and I'm led to believe, to be honest, most of the other owners aren't losing a lot of money. Not a lot of money. Not in terms of how they run their organizations, because they got other stuff going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Steve Ballmer ain't sitting around like, oh my gosh, if I don't make my money this year, I'm gonna be broke. No, he's not. He's not saying that. He's like, yeah, I want to make my money. I want to continue to make the money that I make. But he's not gonna go broke. And neither is Dan Gilbert, and neither is Jeannie Buss. Nobody who owns a team is really gonna go broke. However, I do understand from a business perspective, you want to try to make as much of your money back as possible.
Of
So I
course.
think I think they're going. I think a part of it is going to be trying to figure out whether they'll be able to have people in the building. I mean, listen, $8 hot dog is an $8 hot dog. So if you can get somebody in there that buys the $8 hot dog, you can get 10,000 people inside your building, and they can purchase $8 hot dog.
Yeah.
It
And
could
then
change
too,
things.
here's the other thing too. Like every state is different when it comes to
Yeah,
allowing fans
the
in. So
protocols are
like
different. Yep.
Mark Cuban could damn near have a full house in Dallas if he wants to.
Yeah,
Now, Mark
yeah,
Cuban seems like the type of guy that he probably wouldn't do that.
right,
Um, but then you have a team that play like Philly. They're not allowing anybody in the stands.
right.
So
Cleveland.
there's that dynamic too. And I wonder how the NFL is actually handling that. How do some owners feel slighted that some teams are able to have fans in the stadium and they can't? So I wonder how all that, or they may have to say, hey, behind closed doors, the owners may have said, hey, we got to split some of this. Okay, Cleveland, you can have 5,000 fans. We can't. So there might have to be some type of revenue sharing or something like that that probably may go on behind closed doors just to keep everything
Well,
fair.
I think the NFL has been the best at revenue
Revenue
sharing,
sharing,
even when
yeah,
things were
right,
popping. I think
right,
they
yeah.
I think they
That
do the
that was due
best.
to Art Modell. Art Modell helped negotiate that back in the day. I know.
Really,
It's
that's what
true,
you that's what you're gonna do to me, right this
but
second.
it's
You're
true.
gonna bring up Art Modell. I don't want to listen. I know who did that. I don't need you to point that out to me. I already
Look,
know what Art Modell has done and all that
look,
nonsense. And it's crazy that you're the orchestrator of it, but you the brokest dude who was on. So you're
right,
awful at it, bro. Anyway,
right.
listen, I swear, I thought when we started this show that I would be the voice of reason and Sean would be the irritated guy all the time. Because y'all don't really know Sean. Sean is really a grumpy old man,
I
and
am
he's grumpy
very.
about everything. And
Yep.
I thought that doing this show would kind of lighten his spirits. Only thing that has happened is that my blood pressure has gone up over a whole bunch of stuff. I get irritated. That's the only thing that's happened.
And I've
I
been the
got
calm
mad at
one for
the
the
coach.
most part.
The coach ain't never came on the show. The coach ain't never spoke to me. And this dude quoted me a quote that this guy said, and I was mad for 2.5 hours. And 2 weeks later, I'm still mad.
Hey, you know
But
what though? It was just gonna be interesting to see how this plays out with all the sports leagues, man. As everybody kind of resets, and really as the world resets, you know.
yo, it looks
Um,
like we're going back into in Europe. I know in England and the UK and in Italy, they're going back into like
yeah, I
total
saw
shutdown.
that.
Like this
Um,
is crazy.
you know what? I was about to go on a whole tangent about that. Um, you know what? Sometimes you have to look at what they don't say in the news, and that's where I have a problem with some stuff. So with the testing and everything, the number of positive tests are going up, but they're not talking about the hospitals being overcrowded, at least here. Um, so when DeWine did his press conference the other day, he said, yeah, we're having a significant amount of positive tests going up. But then he said, but we're not close to our hospitals being overwhelmed yet. You know, um, I still Uber from time to time. And when I drop off people at the Cleveland Clinic now, they're loosening up protocols. People are walking in there without even putting on their mask yet, which means so I kind of go by the eye test sometimes. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
is because a lot of this stuff is being politicized. So you got one side with an agenda saying one thing, another side saying the other thing. So most likely the truth is like somewhere in the middle. So I try to take everything like with a grain of salt. Hopefully, after this election is over with, me personally, I kind of think that you'll start to see some of the hysteria kind of start to die down like a little
I
bit.
don't
That's
know.
just
I
me
hope.
personally.
I just
Um,
think everything is so on high alert. I don't know.
yeah, I don't, man. I'll give you a prime example of how they politicize stuff, and then I'll leave it alone because man, I probably just open up a can of worms. Somebody's going to watch this podcast and be like, man, this
Be
dude
like,
is
I
he's
hate
a
them.
yeah, he's a coronavirus hoaxer. That's not me at all. I'm not that guy. I'm not one of those dummies. But here's a
He's
prime example. You remember back after 9/11, how you had that terrorist threat alert level every day? It was either orange, red, green, or whatever,
yeah,
right? As soon as President Obama got elected, that thing went away. You
yeah.
ain't seen, you have not, I mean, literally from the day that he got elected, that went away. So that
Well,
means, so that goes to show me that they were using that at the time as
that's
whatever
some political
thing
coup.
to exactly. And with this thing going on now, um, I think that if it was where they really said it was, and you see people would be acting a little bit differently. The reason why people aren't taking it as serious as some people want to, because it's not tangible to them. You know what I'm saying? So probably about 95% of the world's population probably hasn't been affected by COVID by either by them having it, knowing someone that has it, or someone that's died from it. Now that's not me discrediting anybody that's died from the virus or had complications or anything, but you have to put numbers into perspective. So they'll tell you, um, what is it like 40 million has been positive, tested positive worldwide, something like that. So, and that's less than 1% of the world population.
Hmm.
But 40 million sounds like a whole lot of people. And it is, but that 40 million is spread out. So, like me personally, I still don't know anybody that's had it yet. Now, I
That's
know
good.
people that's had it. I know people that may have had a loved one pass from it. Not a whole lot though. Um, So I think the reason why people are kind of going around happy-go-lucky and want everything to open back up because it's not tangible to them. If everybody in the world was personally affected by it, then people will look at it a little bit differently than how they look at it now. So people think,
I think it would take, and I listen, I'm with you. I think the tangibility of it is an issue. There's a lot of people because there was a period of time, especially even when we had our first shutdown here in Ohio. I was I only knew people who knew people who knew people.
mm-hmm,
So it was like that 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon type thing.
right,
Like I knew people who knew people who knew. Then I knew people who knew people. Then I knew people, but the people that I knew weren't saying, "Yo, I got the COVID." I found out after they had it. Like, "Yo, I
okay,
had COVID. I dropped off the grid, blah 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 blah, but I had COVID." You
okay,
know, I know other people who had it and they tested positive and didn't have anything happen. But I also know people who had it
right,
that had a really rough time. I have family members
right,
that had a really rough time with it. I
mm-hmm,
also know people who died from it.
mm-hmm,
Like personally, know these people who died from it. So I tend to take a little bit of offense when folks are like, "Oh, you got to live your life. Don't be scared." I'm like, listen, bro. When people was dying of the flu, and here we are, hundreds years later after the flu. Don't nobody want the flu still. And I say this all the time. I don't want your flu. I don't want your cold. I
right,
don't want your whatever you got.
right,
So why is this like I'm scared of? I ain't scared of nothing. I done been shot with everything you can find. I've been in the military. They done gave me every inoculation that you can figure out. I should have been scared. Ain't no telling what I actually got because of that. But I done got it all. I hate planes. I don't like flying. I've flown all over the world. I've done a bunch of stuff. So it's not about me being afraid. It's not about none of that stuff. However, I do care about other people. Like I don't want to infect, one of
right,
the reasons that we have decided to do our thing the way that we do our thing. You're around your grandmother and your mom. Your mom is an older lady. My mom is an older lady too. We feel like I don't want you to come over here and then you end up going back home and infecting somebody because we might have it, or because you came out to here, you ended up with it and go back home because it's affecting the elderly a little bit harsher,
right.
and vice versa. My mom, I see my mom every week. She's not a young, well, she would deny that, but she's not a
Your mom
young.
called me old. Last time I saw her, she
Yeah,
she
she
called
called
us
me.
both old. Yeah, she
She
was like,
called
I
me
ain't
old.
old, but y'all too old. Right.
So you got that. My dad isn't in the best of health. So I don't. My kids go over there or go around them often. So I don't want to be the one that did this, and then I gave it to them, and they're asymptomatic. But then it turns out to be the worst thing ever for my pops or for my mom. And that's all. It ain't about a fear of living. It's a fear of the people that you care about. And it's a fear that I have every day anyway. I don't want nothing to happen to nobody I love.
Right.
So I live with
Exactly.
this fear anyway. I'm already fearful because I love you, bro. I don't want to wake up tomorrow and they like, yo, man, something happened to Sean. What? I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear something happened to your mom. I don't want to hear something happen to your grandma. And so on and so on. Like you said, we could go on for days about that. But this
Right.
ain't about for us, for me and you, it ain't about the political part of it. I think we both understand what this could potentially be, and we just want to be safe for each other and for
Right.
our families.
I
But I don't
know
know how that works for the NBA.
it. No, we got off on a political tangent. And the thoughts and views expressed by Sean Davis and Ronald Pierce are not those of the two men in the Mike 216
Yeah, yeah. Listen,
podcast.
apparently we got
No, we do not endorse any presidential candidate. We don't have
nobody.
any. Right.
Apparently we've been breached. Apparently we've been breached by by PBS.
Right. I am not a coronavirus hoaxer by no
Yeah, I
means
don't do the hoaxing
whatsoever.
thing.
That is not me.
I suggest
You know.
everybody wear their mask. I'm not afraid
Yes.
of anything. I'm also
Right.
a proponent of the Second Amendment, et cetera, et
Hey,
cetera.
pretty much put it this way. I'm a proponent of people not being stupid.
That
That's what I'm a proponent of. Don't be out here acting a fool. If you want to live your life, live your life.
yeah,
Don't be
but
stupid. Don't put
but
others in
don't
harm's way.
infringe on other people's freedoms. Because we
Exactly.
live in America. I'm a veteran. I fought for. Apparently, somehow, I fought for everybody's freedom. That's what people keep telling me. So if I fought for everybody's freedom, listen to your local veteran. Let everybody be free. If you want to not wear a mask or you want to not do some stuff, that's fine. But don't be mad at other people who choose to do it either.
Exactly.
Don't be mad at people who they choose, at folks when they choose or how they choose to vote. We all have the right to or to not. We also have the right to vote for whoever the hell we want. Let those folks vote how they want to vote, and let's see how it plays out. We all know that it ain't never all the way what we want.
Yeah.
So just let it be what it's gonna be, and we're all still here.
And by the time that we come back for our next show, we'll either have a new president or we'll have the same one.
Or a
And you know
whole
what?
problem. Look, it could potentially be a whole problem because we've
Exactly.
seen the George W. and Al Gore type situation where we didn't know who the damn president was until they
So like
inaugurated.
right. But you know what though? No matter what happens come November 3rd, the next day the sun will still come up in the morning.
The sun's still coming
You
up.
know,
The world's
sun's
still
still
gonna
coming
turn,
up. God's
and
still in control at the end of the day.
God is still in control, and the Browns have a game in 2 weeks.
Right.
So I'll be way more concerned about the Browns than I might be about who the president is. I'll be honest with you. I'll still be upset if it's a certain kind of way, but regardless of that, trust me, I've been upset about a lot of stuff and still sat in front of a TV on Sunday to watch the Browns.
Right.
I think we'll all make it. I hope we'll all make it. If we don't, we're gonna find out later. But God is still in control. And if y'all saved, y'all ain't got nothing to worry about.
All right. So do you have anything else to say about the NBA or any
Nope.
other topic that we
Nope.
discussed today?
I don't want to say nothing else about nothing else because I feel like 7 people that regularly listen to us might stop listening.
Yeah. Hell, we only got 5 regular viewers as it
Look,
is.
that's what I said. The
Yeah,
7
we
people
lost
that
about 3.
might listen. Yikes. Yeah, look, they're at home right now, like, what?
Right.
So
Right.
listen, people, don't allow folks' political views to skew your or to screw up your day or to skew your view of who these people are. Everybody has an opinion. It's okay. I still have loved ones. I still have people I really care a lot about who feel differently than I feel. And that's okay.
Exactly.
And it's okay. I still
It's
love
okay.
them. And we still gonna make it. So as we go forward, again, I thank you guys. Come visit us at our Facebook page. Come visit us and like our Instagram page as well.
And YouTube.
Well, you know what? They're all 2 guys in the mic. I was trying to say 3 things at one time because you threw me off. 2 guys in the mic, TWO, and a mic 216. That's on Facebook and that's on Instagram. Go to those pages, like those pages, please and thank you. If you go to our Instagram page, you will see a link tree. You can go to the link tree and you can find our YouTube page. You can find, which I need you guys to subscribe to every single time. I need you guys to click, view it, give us some love. Tell us you like it, tell us you hate it. And you'll see the other venues and mediums that we are podcasts across everywhere from Apple to Google Podcasts, iTunes, all of those different podcasts, Spotify.
And we might be
Anchor.
on iHeartRadio too. My cousin that works for them says that we're probably up on theirs too. So we need to check that out.
We'll keep looking.
Yeah, we need to go ahead and check that out and see if we're on
and
that
if we
platform
have
as
that,
well.
I'll make sure that that link gets pulled up onto the Linktree page as well. But again, if you guys are listening, when you guys listen, when you guys like, like the pictures that you see, like the posts that we put up, show us some love. And again, if you don't like what we do, shoot, tell us that we suck. But any interaction is really good interaction, and we appreciate it. And I thank you guys for even almost listening. And even if you don't listen, what do I say every week, Sean? We'll be back next week anyway.
Right, exactly. Same bat time, same bat channel. So once again, thank you guys, and we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Love you, bro. You have a good rest of your day and evening.
Man. Love you too, bro.
And a good start to your week, man.
You too, man. See you on Wednesday, bro.